We begin with breaking news from the war in Ukraine. Ukrainian officials say there has been a new Russian attack targeting civilians. First, a warning. Images and details in this story are disturbing. This is where it happened, Kramatorsk in the Donetsk region in eastern Ukraine. The bombardment hit people at a train station who were trying to escape the fighting. Katie Simpson joins us again now from Lviv, Ukraine. Katie, before we begin, again, we want to warn people that we're about to show pictures of the aftermath, including images of those who died. Worldwide condemnation of this is now coming in. What is the latest you are hearing?
Well, some of the images that are emerging from this scene, CBC News has not verified them, but they appear to show a chaotic aftermath in the moments after this airstrike by Russian forces, according to Ukrainian officials. There are at least 39 people dead, likely more, close to some 100 people wounded, and the dead include children. We know this from, there are some reporters who are already on the ground as well. A reporter for the Washington Post saying that they saw at least the bodies of 2 children among the dead. What the mayor says is that this is one of the busiest train stations for evacuees trying to get out of southeastern Ukraine. Some 4,000 people were at the train station at the time of the attack. And again, those images, video posted to Twitter that is unverified, show a chaotic scene. People screaming, laying on the ground, clearly seriously injured, laying next to dead bodies. There are suitcases, there are backpacks, there are baby carriages there. And again, Ukraine is calling this a deliberate attack on civilians. They're calling it Russia's attempt to disrupt the evacuation process. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was speaking to the Finnish parliament today when he condemned this attack.
This is an ordinary railway terminal. People crowded, waiting for the trains to be evacuated to the safe territory. They hit these people.
Now, Russia is denying responsibility for this attack, saying a top spokesman for the Kremlin saying that they did not target this region today, and they claim they do not operate the kind of missile that was used in this attack. Ukrainian officials say this was a deliberate strike by Russians on civilian targets. And we've seen a pattern of this by Russian officials. So far, in more than 40 days of war, Russian officials have targeted some 103 medical facilities. There have been targeting of hospitals, of maternity wards. We've seen targeting of schools, of orphanages. And so, again, in those cases as well, we saw denials from Moscow that saying that this was not them, calling them provocations. And in this case, again, another denial, Ukrainian officials saying, no, this was a targeted, deliberate attack by Russia.
And Katie, this comes as President Zelensky and top Ukrainian officials have indeed been warning about civilians being caught in the middle as Russian forces intensify their attacks to the east and south of Ukraine.
Yeah, the overwhelming consensus is from intelligence officials, both here in Ukraine as well as in the United States, is that perhaps Vladimir Putin has given up on his attempt to try and capture the capital of Kyiv, and all the soldiers that were in that region in the northeast part of the country, they have been removed. Now, it is expected those forces who did survive, there have been significant losses for the Russian military. Additional soldiers will be heading to the fronts in the south and the east. But again, it's going to take some time for that to happen because the Russian military has suffered some significant losses. A top spokesman for the Kremlin saying yesterday on Sky News, acknowledging, yes, it's been significant losses, and he described it as a great tragedy for Russia. But again, there was no sort of acknowledgement that Vladimir Putin is the author of this misery. It was Russia that started this war. It was Russia that led this invasion. And so there was no sort of acknowledgement there and denial that Vladimir Putin would see himself in any sort of war crimes trial. Now, we are expecting more intense shelling to happen in the south, in the east. This is why we are seeing such an urgent push to get civilians out of places like this, because they do not want to see any more civilian deaths as this war now rages into its 7th week.
Katie, appreciate the very latest from there. Thank you. Katie Simpson in Lviv, Ukraine.